bullying,
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Toxic masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says
And there will be no going back.
I would say
Because we-
masculinity is responsibility, confidence, being able to help others, care for others.
The idea that men have to be in control of the situations that they're in.
He has to be really strong, you know? We have to be like a really strong man and show up to woman whenever we are in front of them or something.
You know, the ability to take shit and not care, to work every day and make sure you don't complain about it.
I think responsibility is the core trait of masculinity that all men should inherit. Whether they do or not, that's up to them.
Let's go head to head right now and I'll show you that I'm the top dog kind of thing. If it's female, I kind of more or less own you. You do what I want you to do. You're gonna be, like the old way would be like you stay in the house, you cook for me. I say something, you do it.
Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, when I was younger, it was like, oh, this is a real man.
Well, a guy that I thought was, think of as masculine, the first one that pops in my head, which is probably like Dwayne Johnson.
To me, when I was growing up, like I was growing up in the age of guys like Carles Puyol, who was a Barcelona center back.
He's got his Instagram posts and all this shit where he's like, I eat this much a day and I'm pumping this much iron a day and blah, 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 blah. And he's in the action movies now. He used to be a wrestler, so he's playing that kind of stereotypical role of masculinity.
He wasn't very exuberant. Whenever his teammates were celebrating a goal, he would just step up to them and be like, let's get back on the pitch. We have more to do. This isn't over.
For me, it was awkward because those weren't the people that I looked up to. The one, if we're using the wrestling thing, the one that I looked up to was like a Jeff Hardy type. Muscular, so to speak, but was out there in a different manner. He did the face paint and the nail polish. He had the long hair. Like he would probably be a target of being called gay for some of the things that he did.
The idea of being considered masculine by peers is not really that important to me.
I'm queer myself. I'm bisexual. As soon as you have sex with other men, you're never gonna be seen as masculine too. So like that's out of the window.
In part, I don't really care what other people think of me that much.
I don't think it's important for me to be considered masculine at all. And a lot of that is associated with a perception of men who are queer, that they're an aberration, and they're an aberration because they're closer to femininity than to masculinity.
I don't think masculinity in itself is negative, but I don't know, some people see it differently.
I think there are many qualities in masculinity that are very negative. Repressing your emotions and ensuring that no one knows how you feel, trying to give a certain level of control over your emotions. If men don't know how to share their lives with people, then eventually what ends up happening is they end up, having these outbursts affecting the people that are closest to them, which is how you end up with things like abusive relationships and domestic abuse, really.
Probably we talk, to somebody about this. Probably somebody else is gonna put a label on us, like, oh, you're, like a little girl, or, like you're a woman, or you are something like that.
But at the same time, you have to admit it's a product of our perception of masculinity, that these men don't know how to express their emotions in a healthy way.
I think the idea of gender politics and stuff has influenced the way that people look at masculinity nowadays in more of a negative light.
I think people just like to complain. To be honest, life's too good here. Life's amazing here. It's so great we have to make up our own problems. I think Louis C.K. said that, which is kind of funny because he's definitely in some hot water right now.
I think it's just changed as the way that people perceive it is more, because they look at it as a bygone era of the past where men had to be in charge and everything. And now that notion is seen as sexist and in that kind of way. And I don't think we've really come across a new definition for it. It's always just kind of lumped into that toxic masculinity camp.
From what I see in the last couple of years, you don't see as many boys either becoming men or young men trying to strive for that alpha position. The awareness that is coming out, especially with the Me Too movement and everything, and the more acceptance and awareness of gay people and trans people and all that stuff is kind of killing the whole vibe of the hardcore masculinity. And I think that's just going to continue to grow until the new generation may not be like the old in terms of the traditional masculinity.
Hopefully in 30 years or 50 years, we don't need something to define what makes a man and what makes a woman. We can just define what makes a good person.